of that. I'm a big fan of that, Mike Gill. All I need to do, or we need to do, is resurrect Phil Stein somewhere and dig him out, and it'll be just like 2009 all over again. You, me, Hangover Township, let's do it.
Well, we'll be there on Thursday, but we got a lot to get into. By the way, that was Coldplay bringing us back. I know the PT is big in the musical side of the halftime shows. We talked about that yesterday, so I just wanted to get your 2 cents on the halftime show.
I actually chose to go to the bathroom, so I barely watched.
It was a half an hour long.
Yeah, well, you know me very well. It was time,
My Lord.
And in this day and age,
I mean, the gentleman.
You
could have just made up something
and laptop into the bathroom with you.
You could have made up something. You could have said, you know what, I didn't care for it.
And that's why I am the PT. I vomit. I wrote a song for you. If you want musical stuff, I wrote a song for you. Ready?
Yeah.
It's very short. This is to the tune of Sgt. Pepper for the Beatles, because today is the 50th anniversary, by the way, of the Philadelphia Flyers organization. Okay, here we go. It was 50 years ago today that the Flyers came to Philly to play. They've been going in and out of style, but they'll certainly be around a while. So let me introduce to you the team you've known for all these years, Philadelphia Flyers hockey. Yeah.
When did you put that together?
This morning.
Was that on the bathroom? Was that on the toilet?
No. I wrote that on a notepad. But instead of Billy Shears, when they come in and say Billy Shears, you could do Ed Snyder. Then you just go into the next part.
Yes, I know what you're. That was pretty good, man. We'll have to have a musical interlude each week now when we do the Tuesday with Thompson. That will be your homework to come up with a song each week for this segment here. So you didn't watch the halftime show. The game was kind of boring. So everybody, it didn't. There wasn't like a distinct feel to that game.
I didn't think it was so boring, but then I watched it the way that people watch TV in 2016. I watched it with my right ear open, my left eye on Facebook, my other eye on Twitter. I watched like I saw the plays. I didn't miss stuff. Every so often there'd be a commercial that would start, and I'd be like, "Oh, sweet! This is the one with the David Bowie music. I'm going to watch this." Yeah. And I'd look up, But that's, I think, kind of how society is now. So
you're right, though. You're right about
surprised,
that. Because people were talking about the commercials, and someone said someone just spent $5 million on this commercial, and everyone's looking at their phones.
Right.
So the commercial's inconsequential.
What the puppy baby monkey looked like. I mean, there's certain things that, it's right. So, I mean, it just. I liked the Doritos commercial with the woman that was angry at her spouse, and I guess that was for Audi was the Major Tom or the Starman by David Bowie. Other than that, everything else was just kind of white noise.
Yeah. Well, I want to you mentioned 50 years of Flyers hockey. When did you become a Flyers fan? Like, when was your first interaction with the Flyers? Because you're a big Flyers guy.
Huge. I just put a picture up on Facebook of some stuff I found. It's like I was a member of the Flyers fan club, apparently in 1986 and the following year in 87. So that puts me at 15 and 16. Right? I'm 45. So people that throw out, back-to-back Stanley Cups, hey, I was 3. I was 4. I mean, I don't have vivid memories of them winning cups when, I was probably potty training, right? So, and I'm still working on that. But anyhow, I don't have vivid memories of the 2 Stanley Cup teams, but I do have vivid memories of my first game. And, Ike Richmond, the great publicist for Comcast Spectacor, he put something up like, "What's your favorite memory?" And I was able to, that's another reason that I had time to write the song, was able to look and see that I attended a Flyers Minnesota North Stars game in 1985, which makes me 14. The very first game I know that I went to in person, I sat behind the Minnesota North Stars bench, the very first row behind the bench. That's where my neighbor's seats were. He knew the guy in the tunnel. The guy in the tunnel gave me a puck, and between the second and third intermission, somebody pointed out that was 19-year-old Peter Zezel sitting in the first row of the press box, and he was a healthy scratch that night. So here I lifted my puck up like, please, sir, would you sign this? So, for my first ever Flyers game, I got a puck, I sat behind the bench, and I got an autograph.
Really cool.
Boom. Love affair board.
I know you have a love affair with the cherry and the white, and there's a big debate going on. And by the way, the Temple 2016 schedule just came out, and they will be playing at Penn State this year. So they do have Penn State on the docket. That game will be on September 17th at Penn State. There is no Notre Dame, and there's really no other non-conference game that jumps out at you. They're opening with Army. They play Stony Brook. That's not getting people to build a new building for them. But, PT, you're a passionate cherry in the white, and I saw your Facebook post. This is a pretty polarizing story up in Philadelphia about building that on campus, and they're thinking about putting it right there on Broad Street.
Pretty much. Basically, if you were in the air and you were in a helicopter above the Leah Corus Center or above McGonigal Hall, from going south to north on the edge of Broad Street there, you'd have the Leah Corus Center, then the next building up would be McGonigal Hall, and then from that next block to about Burke's before you get to Diamond is the footprint. So it's the old AstroTurf. I believe they called it Geezy Field when I was in college, many moons ago. And then I think they put some tennis courts in there. So they have a footprint, or they have an idea of building this on-campus stadium within the campus footprint. So I can't see why people are so up in arms about it. I mean, it's not like they're knocking down two rows of houses, or they're stretching the campus out even further. Plus, if it provides jobs and it stimulates the economy and does all these other things, what is the problem with that?
I don't know. I haven't read a lot about this, but I know it's a very heated discussion. It gets very political is what it really gets. It depends on, I guess, where that money is coming from to build that stadium.
I don't think
do you think, though, seriously, do you think that Temple needs based on this seems like it's based on two games that people think that Temple needs its own stadium. Like, don't they need to prove? Don't they need to prove?
Way of thinking.
Well, don't they need to prove more?
Of course. Not to fill. It depends on how many people they have in the stadium. They don't need a 64,000-seat stadium.
I agree with that.
Quite frankly, embarrassing when you do play and I'm trying to think of what this team was you mentioned that was the real barn burner on the schedule, Stony Brook. When you play Stony Brook next September the 10th, you don't need a 65,000-seat stadium. But if you have something on campus that's somewhere between, 18 and 30, that's a decent number.
Well,
now,
I agree.
People are freaking out. Well, where are they going to play Penn State? Go back to the link for that one game.
Yeah.
But, put something on campus. It's not just because of the two games. When I was in college, and you know how long ago that is, 1990, 1989, at that point, the president of the university, Peter Leocoris, was wanting to get an on-campus stadium. So, you have a guy who's the president now, Neil Theobald, who came from Indiana, right? Now, if you say Indiana, you think Bobby Knight. You don't think football. Well, if you said Temple for a long time, you thought John Chaney. You didn't think football. But on-campus stadiums, especially at a place like Temple, which for years was known as a suitcase school or a commuter school, could bring people to the campus, regardless of the jobs that it creates and all the other things. I am so all for it, but, we'll see how things turn out.
Look, I agree that it would be a benefit to them in their program. You're absolutely right that they don't need a 60,000-seat stadium, but one of the problems is they weren't relevant enough at any time to this point to get them an on-campus stadium, and that's why I wonder, is the relevancy becoming just because they played Notre Dame tough and they beat Penn State? That's all.
Well, I'll give you that. And you're talking about a team where they all got kicked out of the Big East. They almost dropped football altogether. We've known what the lows are, So, obviously kudos to them for trying to strike while the iron's hot in a season that they came off of hanging in there with Notre Dame, beating Penn State, and beating on ESPN's College Game Day. That's the holy grail. That's the trifecta right there. But it says something when the incoming mayor, Jim Kenney, he came out against the stadium before he was even in office. He hadn't even taken the oath yet. And he comes out, I'm not, whoa, what's going on? And then yesterday, obviously, there were protests up on campus where people were trying to block the Board of Trustees people from going into the building. I'd like to see it happen. Please put me on the record as somebody that is for it, but I'm also a curious observer of how things will break down.
All right, Tuesday with Thompson here. By the way, Bo Melton of Cedar Creek just tweeted that he got his 8th Division I offer, this one from Penn State. So a lot of Big Ten schools coming after him. That's right, and Temple will be at Penn State, as we just mentioned, September 17th of next year as the college football schedule is out. I know the Flyers played tonight against Anaheim, and Sixers played overtime last night, so this post-football, we got to get out of it. We got to get right back on the horse and start getting, reacquainted with our winter sports team. I know you've been big into the Flyers here, but what is your post-football fix, PT?
Well, first of all, those dirty, rotten scoundrel Sixers, it's like an old girlfriend. They sucked me in. I started watching them last night. I was taking notes because of you. I don't want to sound like an idiot when I'm talking about the NBA. So I'm watching the game, and they were up 19, and they blew it. Yeah. That makes me so mad. They're very difficult to love when, they leave the lane as wide open as the Titanic. You could run a barge ship through how poor that defense was. So what am I watching? Flyers first, Sixers on the jump occasionally. And then, it's February, so it's sweeps month. The Grinder's a great show. PT likes The Amazing Race.
Yeah.
Right. Castle's back. What else do I watch in a regular? Oh, The Good Wife. For God's sakes, The Good Wife announced they were canceling their show in the Super Bowl. Talk about one of the moments where you go, wait a minute, what just happened there? I had to hit the 15-second back button to see it again, and then that blew up on Twitter. And so did the hot ref. I'm sure his wife loves that. My boy Clete Blakeman, he's a celebrity now. So much for being anonymous.
Well, we'll have more of this on Thursday. A lot of fun. It was good to catch up over at the Battle by the Bay this weekend, and then a couple Shastas afterwards.
Jeff Billett, baby, that coach for CBA, he's really talented.
That had to be one of my favorite moments of the weekend. I don't. Yeah, well, hey, it happens.
I forgot his name. It's just that I didn't have to tell him that I forgot him.
Yeah, he walks up to the guy at halftime. He says, "We're standing here with CBA coach. I'm sorry, I forget your name, but I think you played Division I basketball." I actually watched him play a lot when he was at Rutgers. They used to play West Virginia. He was there like right around that time frame. He's in the same age bracket as I am.
Well, I thought that he handled it very great.
You handled it well. You handled it well.
No, I'm an idiot. But
you were rusty.
Yeah. Well, we'll polish that, or we'll knock that off starting Thursday at Chickies and Pete's. And boy, by the Hamilton Ball on Friday, I'll tell you what, we'll be in rare form.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Thank you.